voters. A majority of respondents feel less safe than they did a year or two ago, but they reject the notion that criminal justice reform has gone too far. This year, Black voters will be looking for candidates who speak to the complexity of the issues as opposed to a one-size-fits-all approach. Nearly half of Black voters have an unfavorable view of DA Gascon, but his challengers are largely unknown. Nearly half of the Black voters are also undecided, which means there's a clear opportunity for candidates to connect with Black voters. Our poll makes three things abundantly clear. Black voters matter. Black voters are closely following this race, and the candidates for DA have a lot of work to do. KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to the mobilization and use of the franchise to empower our audience to identify and pursue their interests in advancing equity, inclusive representation, and multiracial solidarity. For KBLA Talk 1580, I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte. We welcome your feedback.
And it's hour two of the Friday edition of Areva Martin in Real Time. Let's get you caught up. President Joe Biden announced more than 500 sanctions on Russia today over its war in Ukraine and the death of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny last week in prison, the largest set of sanctions since the conflict began. Biden said the sanctions would target those connected to Navalny's imprisonment, as well as Russia's financial sector, defense industrial base, and sanctions evaders across several continents, among others. The U.S. is also imposing export restrictions on almost 100 entities that support Russia's military efforts and taking action to reduce Russia's energy revenues. Donald Trump voiced support for in vitro fertilization today, urging the Alabama legislature to reverse the effects of a recent Supreme Court ruling that led some clinics to pause treatments. For some in the Republican Party, the ruling amounted to an unforeseen consequence of the U.S. Supreme Court's 2022 Dobbs decision, which paved the way for states to restrict abortion. Trump has bragged about his selection of 3 of the justices who voted in the majority on the Dobbs decision as evidence of his anti-abortion credentials. So as much as he might try to deflect on this issue, it is because of that decision that Roe v. Wade was overturned. Adam Schiff has a clear advantage in California's Senate race with fellow Democratic Rep. Katie Porter and Republican Steve Garvey in a fierce battle to advance the November runoff, according to a new statewide poll. The survey from the Public Policy Institute of California shows Porter hanging in there despite being hammered by millions of dollars in TV ads from Schiff and his super PAC trying to prop up Garvey, the former Major League player, the former Dodger, who would assuredly lose to Schiff in the fall. Garvey has done almost no campaigning and hasn't raised enough money to run his own TV ads. The poll had Schiff at 24%, Porter at 19%, Garvey at 18%, and Rep. Barbara Lee at 10%. The Florida-led Republican House overwhelmingly passed legislation yesterday to create the strictest social media prohibitions in the country by cutting off anyone under 16 years old from many platforms, despite some objections from Governor Ron DeSantis. House members voted on the bill mere hours after it was backed by the Senate in a surprise move that procedurally could force DeSantis to act sooner on legislation than he would have liked to have had to act. He's been skeptical of the legislation for weeks. A judge yesterday ruled that a Texas high school was not violating the state's Crown Act by punishing a black teen over the length of his dreadlocks, and the Crown Act is something that prohibits race-based hair discrimination at work, school, and in housing facilities in the state. The decision was met with sighs and gasps by many of those who gathered in the courthouse, which included student Daryl George's supporters and natural hair advocates. John McCain's daughter, Meghan McCain, rejected Carrie Lake's offer on Wednesday to meet one-on-one after Lake claimed that disparaging comments she previously made about the late senator during her failed gubernatorial run in 2022 were just a joke. Lake is a former TV reporter turned vocal ally of Donald Trump, who notably feuded with John McCain. And Lake said after winning the Republican nomination to be Arizona's governor in 2022 that She drove a stake through the heart of the McCain machine, referring to the family's roots in the state. Now she says that was all a joke. When we come forward, we're going to continue the conversation with Dr. Sean Fletcher and Danny Griffin. Going to kick it off with IVF, the in vitro fertilization decision that is dominating the day, and how Republicans are now scrambling to try to back away from that decision and make it seem like, well, we don't all really believe that. We'll get into that when we come forward right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's the real deal in real time. You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Climate is king.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that caring for the community means caring about the climate. You might have heard that we announced a pretty bold 12-month, $2 million campaign to do 4 things. Increase climate literacy, turn up the volume on communities of color in the climate conversation, connect everyday people with the resources they need to survive and thrive, and highlight frontline climate justice crusaders of color throughout this year. KBLA Talk 1580 will be bringing you insightful interviews on all of our shows to help raise your climate IQ. Each quarter this year, we will also be hosting free climate events in various communities throughout the city with food, fun, and forward-thinking conversations. Thanks to partners like LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, the Sierra Club, the California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, AQMD, MWD, and more. You'll also be hearing more about a couple of national town halls broadcasting live from Los Angeles, to which you will be invited. And we'll be rolling out a robust social media campaign on all our platforms, as well as an outdoor media campaign, all designed to educate, enlighten, and empower you in our fight for climate justice.
We want cleaner air.
Caring about the community means caring about the climate. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that we really can change the world if we care enough.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy Unstoppables bottle shake. And now a sniff solo. Nice. Get 6 times longer lasting freshness plus odor protection with Downy Unstoppables in-wash scent beads.
If you're looking for the most epic place on Earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through the thick jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure.
Available feature. Intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
Watch out! You got me! The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
There's no time like the present. Let's get back to more of Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Back on the Friday edition of Areva Martin in Real Time, Avi Bernard here with you every Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific. And I'm joined by Danny Griffin, educator, entrepreneur, and motivational speaker, and Dr. Sean Fletcher of San Jose State University. And we thank you for joining us, whether you are listening on 1580 AM here in Los Angeles, or you're listening on the free KBLA app, or you're listening to and watching us on YouTube. You can listen to and watch us live on YouTube. All right, gentlemen, I briefly gave my thoughts on the IVF situation. I want to get yours. Danny, let's start with you.
Well, we have some, I won't say, well, it is kind of breaking news that just happened this afternoon, East Coast time. We have a bipartisanship effort between Democrats and Republicans in order to protect those who are involved with the IVF treatments in terms of business and the actual donors and what have you. And you knew that was coming. It's an uproar about this situation. It's real tricky and slippery slope because, it's election time. and then you have the presidency coming up. You got a lot of local elections coming up as well, and basically they're about to stop this. And the Attorney General for the state of Alabama already came out and said, "Listen, nobody's going to be prosecuting from my office regarding anything in terms of IVF, whether it be transport, the patients, anything." So, it's kind of funny how we get together and make stuff happen in certain instances, right? I would love to have this on a federal level and on a state level around the country and other red states. This is the first time since I've been really paying attention to see a red state with the bipartisanship effort come together so quickly. Is it interior motives behind it in terms of election or whatever? Of course it is. But we need to take this same energy and keep this moving forward in all the other states, and let's do it on the federal level as well when it comes to Ukraine and everything else.
That's just the thing. It's not a bipartisanship effort, though. It is
interior motive.
It is. Listen, the Republican Supreme Court did this, and other Republicans know they're going to have to pay for it electorally. That's why they're acting right now in an election year like they are opposed to this. But what do you think happens when a case goes? Let's say Donald Trump is reelected, right? And we already know the Supreme Court right now is 6-3 in favor of conservatives. If a case goes to the Supreme Court and it goes to that Supreme Court, are they going to rule in favor of someone who is pro-choice, or are they going to rule in someone who's someone who's pro-life? And so they are aware. Republicans are aware that this looks bad, and they are aware that it looks really bad, and it could be even more damaging to them. But the Republicans are the ones who did this.
In reference to the Roe versus Wade.
Yeah.
That was overturned by our former president, Donald Trump.
Right.
So basically it's a contradiction.
It is a contradiction. Yeah, they did this because of through Roe versus Wade. They made this possible through Roe versus Wade. The very far right extreme Alabama Supreme Court took it further than they maybe thought it might go at that time. But that's what happens when you open this door. And now that this door is open, they may try to restrict contraception. And it wouldn't surprise me if they went after masturbation, because they think that any kind of seed is like a human being, and it's not the same thing. And so, but let's bring you in here, Dr. Fletcher.
It's just an extension. You all hit many of the biggest talking points, but again, it's just an extension of playing politics with people's lives. It's a game for many folks on Capitol Hill, and it's real for those of us who are living this life out here, and in particular, women having the right to manage their own bodies and choices. When you hear about politicians who are directly, not even on a sort of a undertone level, are directly contradicting decisions and positions that they have had, simply because it's now going to be unpopular. And certainly when you move things to a general election season, now it's not simply you placating to your base. You're now going to have to appeal to a larger audience. Hence why Trump has played games with the immigration bills that are up and killed a bipartisan bill because he said he wanted to run on it. So he told them to now go back and reject it, even though they had come to an agreement. He's playing politics with people's lives, and this is no different. And ultimately, as you said, you're absolutely spot on in terms of when you open Pandora's box, good luck with closing it. You're going to get much more than what you bargained for, because where does it end? Like you said, but it's not simply the restrictions, but where does it end in terms of the social services that come along with these things? I've seen so many very brilliant sort of counterpoints that have come across, and one of the bigger ones is Dr. Chapman, a law professor from Washington University. She had a fantastic retort to a lot of this when she was saying, okay, if we're going to do this, we got to go all the way. When it comes to when does child support start? If now we're talking about, when is a fetus or when is a embryo a living thing, that now we're going to legislate, and all of the social services that come along with all of those things that the GOP don't want to address. You cannot start picking and choosing how you're going to put restrictions in place because it's in service of a larger agenda that has been rolled out. And you certainly can't do an about face when it's conveniently an election year, again, playing the American public as though we're fools. So my hope is that we will collectively realize what is happening. And again, when you go into that ballot booth and it's time to cast your vote, that you remember that. You don't simply vote along party lines. So again, this is more playing politics with people's lives.
And let's just remember what their line is. Life begins at conception. This is Republicans' line. Life begins at conception. So as soon as the sperm fertilizes the egg, the embryo phase is after that. So they believe that is life. So what they're saying right now, you cannot depend on them to stay on this stance, especially once the election's over and they got the power. Oh, they're going all out. I promise you they're going all out. They ain't worried about none of this stuff that they're saying now. We've already seen how quickly they'll turn about face on any subject. So can't worry about that. You just got to focus on what they do, not what they say. And they have just done something. They have just already outlawed IVF in the state of Alabama, the Alabama Supreme Court. You think other states ain't following, other states in the South? And then how that affects other states that are neighboring, and they try to, even for getting abortions, they try to prosecute people in other states now. And even when they do say that there are exceptions for the life of the mother, the case in Texas where the woman was unable to get approval for an abortion when her life was in danger. She had to go to a different state. So you cannot focus on what they say, focus on what they do. And with that, let's focus on what one of them just said, because he will not be able to do anything about it. But he said, this is North Carolina Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson has an unconventional proposal to end the reparations debate once and for all. He said, what if instead of Black Americans being compensated for the atrocities of slavery, Black people paid reparations for slavery? This is his stupid ass logic. If you want to tell the truth about it, this is a quote. If you want to tell the truth about it, it is you who owes, referring to Black people. Why do you owe? Because somebody in those fields took strikes for you. After those fields were ended and slavery was ended, somebody had to walk through Jim Crow for you. Somebody fought wars and died for you. Somebody lived less than because they didn't have what you have, and they did it for you. It's hard for me to even read this read this garbage out loud. He goes on, quote, there are people in their graves right now, and they are there because they were willing to stand up and fight for you, close quote. So this is also someone who doesn't like being referred to as African American. He blames the slave trade on Africans, solely on Africans. And he said, why would I want to be called African American when, why do I want African in front of my name when those are the ones who put me in slavery, and Americans are the ones who saved me? This is what he said. So, oh wow. So his weird ass, like backwards ass, like circular logic is that because you're Black, you owe reparations to the Black people, your ancestors who came before you. But he said, why do you owe? Because someone in those fields took strikes for you. So the people who took strikes for you, who were they taking the strikes from? I mean, after those fields ended and slavery was ended, this is his quote again. Somebody had to walk through Jim Crow for you. Who was implementing Jim Crow? It is astounding. This dude is as close to Uncle Ruckus in real life as you are going to get. This dude is like Samuel L. Jackson in Django, but like younger. So let's I'm gonna put a quarter in the machine and just let Dr. Fletcher kind of go on ahead and take the mic and do what he does, because I know you get.
Well, I'll just say this: if we're talking about Uncle Ruckus and Samuel Jackson's character, Tim Scott has entered the chat. I'd say that he'd like to have a word with you about that distinction.
But Tim Scott is too nice. Tim Scott's
conversation.
too nice for that, though. Tim Scott is like, he's too mild mannered to be one of them dudes.
Oh yeah, he won't even campaign for himself as hard as he campaigns for Trump, as he said, because he loves him so much. Different conversation for a different day. But there must be something in the water out in the Carolinas out there for black folks. But for some reason, and this isn't even really worth the time and the air that it takes to even respond to this. It makes no sense. It is wildly, I'll just say, traitorous, but it is wildly reckless. I'm not even sure if the black delegation would even be able to swap him out for anybody. But when it comes down to this on its face, it doesn't make sense. By no means does it make sense. This is the same man that compared slavery to abortion and said that white laborers had it just as bad as, if not worse, than black slaves, he said. This man has a greatest hits compilation of buffoonery. And this is no different. So when you say stuff like this, it's not only reckless, it's dangerous, because there are some people who will take that to heart. And it will actually underscore some of the nonsensical philosophical beliefs that they have around the impact. We're already seeing major efforts of erasure go across the country, not just at households and at dinner tables where they used to be relegated to. It's now in Capitol buildings across our states, where legislation is being put in place to try to erase or at the least sanitize what slavery and Jim Crow and the impacts of that. All right, Robinson needs to explain to me what redlining did to scores of those who ultimately were not able to partake in what has been in a business 101 class would say is a mechanism to wealth, which is real estate ownership, housing or otherwise. We were systematically erased from that for decades and decades and decades. And the wealth is sitting there with whom, Robinson? So who should I be giving reparations to? Who should I be? Because you've taken my ability to even have to give back. So tell me, where is the logic in any of this? It's not historically sound. It is not in the least bit true to what we have come to learn and understand about the ravaging impacts of the cascade of slavery and Jim Crow, which we are still feeling the remnants and effects of to this very day. Look and tell me that where the mass wealth in this country is relegated to. And you tell me who should be getting reparations or not. And then also tell me on the backs of whom did they get that wealth from? And you tell me again, historically factual. This isn't anecdotal. What is the basis of this buffoonery that he is coming to us with? So again, while it is really not worth the oxygen it takes to even muster up a retort for this, I have to give something.
Well, you gave more than something, Denny. Go ahead.
Man, I'm astonished, man. This really hurts because, this is an educated man. And I know the term is gonna come out. They're educated fools, whatever. This is an educated man. This is a respected man. And this man. Let's not say man.
The respected part is debatable.
Yeah, Mr. Robinson. I mean, he's a leading candidate to win the governorship of. Is this
North Carolina?
I knew it had to be one of those states. I just don't want to call out the states because I like to travel. but like I'm saying, he's a leading candidate, right? So that means every fundraiser he goes to, when he's in a grocery store, when he travels, people are going to be thinking this man is right because of his platform and his educational background and because he's in the position that he's in.
He has influence.
Yeah, so people are going to co-sign. And we all know there's some truth to some things when it comes to slavery. How, some people say, oh, some Africans are actually, okay, different people around the world, slavery, okay, whatever. But the main fact is, when we were here, what's the ending result from slavery? We're not talking about actually what happened then. We're talking about right now, who has benefited from slavery in this very country, right? Who created capitalism and all this stuff, which is in turn start hurting socialism, because regardless of how you look and how much money you got, you're still going to be an African-American man or woman at the end of the day to some people. And he's creating this rhetoric, right? But the thing is, a former President Donald Trump once called this man MOK.
let me pause you right there. Donald Trump did compare this dude to Martin Luther King, which is we're going to pause it. We'll get the rest of your thoughts on the other side, Danny, after this news, traffic, and sports update right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Areva time is the right time. More of Areva Martin in real time when we come forward.
I'm Tyreek Wynn. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Reports say Kodak Black caused a scene after he was released from jail on Wednesday night. WPLG Local 10 reporter Rosh Lowe detailed his team's encounter with the rapper after he was released from federal custody. Lowe said Kodak threw rocks at photojournalist Brian Murphy and provided video footage of the incident. Lowe also claimed the rapper threatened to punch him. One of the rocks Kodak threw did hit Murphy in the ribs. However, he was not seriously injured. A police report was filed with the Fort Lauderdale, Florida Police Department after the incident occurred. Normani has finally announced her debut album, Dopamine. The ex-Fifth Harmony member posted her cover of the upcoming album Wednesday after fans noticed that she had wiped her socials. The singer embarked on her solo career in 2018 and has released several singles as lead artist. A release date wasn't given for the long-awaited album. That's the latest. I'm Tyreek Wynn on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
We're still waiting on some lane information back in Elysian Park's 110 South before the Academy Road Solano Avenue split. A car remains on its side with heavy traffic that continues over 20 minutes from Avenue 43. Back in Sun Valley, a stall has been cleared from the 5 North before Lancashire Boulevard. Heavy traffic flow continues from Sunland Boulevard. In Universal City, watch for a stall blocking the right lane of the 101 North before Universal Studios Boulevard, and expect a 20-minute traffic jam from Santa Monica Boulevard. In Buena Park, a stall has been reported on the right lane to the 91 East off-ramp to Knott Avenue. Slight heavy delays coming from Carmenita Road.
Wendy's Breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles lets you choose your perfect duo from your fave 4, like a sausage or egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, or medium hot coffee. Limited time only during breakfast hours. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in the combo. Single item at regular price.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Best game of the night in women's college basketball is right here in L.A. Number 7 USC is hosting number 11 Colorado tonight at 7 at the Galen Center. USC freshman Juju Watkins is second in the nation in scoring with a 27.5 average. The Compton native has scored 30 or more 10 times this season. Today's Black History Month sports moment, a lot of people know O.J. Simpson for something else, but on December 16, 1973, Simpson became the first running back in NFL history to rush for 2,000 yards in a season. Simpson ran for 200 yards on that day against the New York Jets to push him above 2,000. Simpson finished the season with 2,003 yards and 12 touchdowns. Making Simpson's achievement even more remarkable is that he hit the 2,000-yard mark when the NFL had only a 14-game regular season schedule. The league went to 16 games in 1978. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte with the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial. In a public opinion survey commissioned by KBLA Talk 1580 and conducted by Viteris, the black voters surveyed were highly enthusiastic about the March 2024 primary. The race for Los Angeles District Attorney is being hotly contested. Incumbent DA George Gascon's efforts to implement progressive criminal justice reforms have generated pushback from within his own office, the broader law enforcement community, and some in the general public. He was the subject of at least 2 failed attempts to qualify recalls. The concerns about crime are reflected in the polling results of black voters. Nearly 1 in 4 have been victims of violent crime or have someone close to them who has been a victim. 1 in 5 black voters have personally been victims of property crime in the last 2 years. A majority of respondents feel less safe than they did a year or 2 ago, but they reject the notion that criminal justice reform has gone too far. This year, black voters will be looking for candidates who speak to the complexity of the issues as opposed to a one-size-fits-all approach. Nearly half of black voters have an unfavorable view of DA Gascon, but his challengers are largely unknown. Nearly half of the black voters are also undecided, which means there's a clear opportunity for candidates to connect with black voters. Our poll makes 3 things abundantly clear. Black voters matter. Black voters are closely following this race, and the candidates for DA have a lot of work to do. KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to the mobilization and use of the franchise to empower our audience to identify and pursue their interests in advancing equity, inclusive representation, and multiracial solidarity. For KBLA Talk 1580, I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte. We welcome your feedback.
LADWP is proud to partner with KBLA to share with you how to start the new year without bill worries. We're here to help if you're behind on your bill or need help staying current. Sign up anytime online for Level Pay to set predictable monthly payments throughout the year, including for past due amounts. You can also check out the special extended pay arrangements of up to 48 months to help pay down your bill. If you're a senior or income qualified, you may be eligible for Easy Save to receive discounts and also qualify for free and discounted energy and water saving devices. You can get up to $15,000 for past due water and or sewer bills and up to $3,000 for electric bills. But you gotta act fast, funding is limited. You can reduce your past due bills and kick off the year right, because here at LADWP, we're here to help. Visit ladwp.com/cares today and find out more.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, home of the 2024 Climate Justice Campaign.
As we go a little something like this.
Hey, it is me, D.L. Hughley, and I am thrilled to be heard weekdays in my hometown on KBLA Talk 1580. So check out the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580. We got a whole lot to talk about, let me tell you. That's for the real.
You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Back on the Friday edition of Areva Martin in real time. It is the group chat with myself, Danny Griffin, and Dr. Sean Fletcher. So, Danny, you were saying something. You were finishing up your thoughts on this weirdo Mark Robinson who says that black people should indeed have to pay reparations for slavery, not white people. So go ahead and finish what you were saying.
Well, in 2017, former President Trump appointed this person and said he was the next MLK. Okay. It's just funny how it's like a form of brainwashing. Like, it's like we coming out of a coma or something. I'm looking on TV and people telling me I should buy some $400 gold shoes that look like some type of gold Tin Man, and telling me all black people like sneakers. Now I'm listening to somebody telling me this guy's MLK. Okay, so and I'm looking at a quote that he said when he was talking about the African American people here. He's saying, and today it is Africans who are still doing this to Africans in terms of going against each other. So now he's trying to, in reference to possibly black on black crime, I presume. And it's funny how people change the narrative and just change things to help their campaigns, their policies, how to create a new narrative for a certain group of people. This is crazy to me. So what happens if he wins the governorship of North Carolina? And does that mean his voice is that more powerful? Does that mean he changes more young people's minds on how they should see themselves when they look in the mirror in that state, or Georgia next door, or Florida next door? I mean, what do we do? We need to tell our own story, and him being a governor and him being educated means nothing. My thing is this. We need reparations. It's obvious, right? We have the redlining. We had bad loans. We still getting through bad loans, right? We have a lot of things going on in terms of real estate, and real estate is the backbone of our country, and it made a lot of wealthy families that have generational wealth 3, 4, and 5 generations later because of land. Okay, don't give me some land way out in Oklahoma or somewhere in North Dakota or South Dakota. We're talking about prime real estate, right? Bruce's Beach is not the only family around the United States that has had transgressions against them, right?
Another one just came out in Santa Monica, where Viceroy Hotel.
Oh, that family's been fighting for a long time. That was black, and then we got Valverde area, we got Venice. Most of Venice was African Americans. We had a resort in Huntington Beach that was African American owned, but it was bought for a Caucasian person, and it burned down the day that it was supposed to open. You can research it. So I'm just saying, we have all these atrocities around America, and families have lost, and their generations later, the great-great-grandchildren are suffering. I'm one of those. Everybody, I want mine. I need my check. You know what I'm saying? I need it. I need it to pass down if I'm not here. But I'm not going to listen to this guy in another state telling me what I'm doing in California. We're more progressive. We're not doing that. Ain't no more colored signs here, brother. And he is a Django, overweight the Django, by the way.
Yeah, he said the Django.
Whatever it is.
That reminds me of that. Damn you, the Django. Just Django. D is silent. Anyway, you can give us a call, 800-920-1580, if you want to get involved in the conversation, 800-920-1580. Let's go to Daryl in Los Angeles. What's on your mind, Daryl?
Dude, where do they find these people? I think anybody that listened to Trump for too long get a Trump infection. First of all, they telling us we like these ugly shoes that I wouldn't put on my freaking dog. And it's just too much to take in at sometimes. And now you got this guy, a black man, supposedly educated. The jury's still out on that. But if it's true that black people are supposed to pay reparations, to who are we paying these reparations to? Number one. Number two, how in the hell could America ever become a superpower without 400 years of free labor? We'd just be a freaking continent in between Canada and Mexico. We wouldn't have been. Nothing would have happened here. Number three, the white people that had the slaves got a stipend, $300 to $500 per slave when they let them go. Government paid them a stipend because they don't have the slaves anymore.
They got reparations, basically.
So they can get reparations. Why the hell can't we? I got a perfect solution. You ain't got to give me a check. I don't pay taxes on jack. We just don't pay taxes, and we get free education. That'll balance the scale, because the amount of labor we gave to this country, our ancestors gave to this country, made the country. It wouldn't be America without us.
It was built on slavery. The country was built on slavery.
There's no way you can make that happen. And it's the Civil War. The South was fighting against the North because, hey, y'all got free labor down there. How the hell we going to have free labor up here? We got to pay our workers. So that's what the damn Civil War was about. And as far as black communities, like you guys were mentioning Santa Monica and Bruce's Beach, there's tens of hundreds of lakes across this. Lake Lanier is one come to mind. It's when they flooded when they made these man-made lakes, they made them on top of black communities. And some of the stuff is still down there, It's just insane. And this guy needs to the head. I'm sorry.
I appreciate you, Daryl. Thanks for chiming in. Thanks for the call. Always good to hear from you. Have a good weekend. And speaking of those ugly-ass shoes that you mentioned, Daryl, let's actually hear How influential, just how influential some Republicans think those shoes are going to be.
Even the sneaker thing. I was on social media last night. Very interesting. As you see black support eroding from Joe Biden, this is connecting with black America because they love sneakers. They're into sneakers. They love this is a big deal, certainly in the inner city. So when you have Trump roll out his sneaker line, they're like, wait a minute, this is cool. He's reaching them on a level that defies and is above politics. The culture always trumps politics. And Trump understands culture like no politician I've ever seen.
Question for you on that point, though.
Yeah.
Will the people that are excited about the sneakers and excited about Donald Trump, will that translate into them going out and voting for Donald Trump?
Well, anybody willing to put $400 down for a pair of sneakers? Yeah, I think that's commitment and love. It's
hope
something.
You're right.
It's something. It's affection.
Guys, we just learned the secret to getting the black vote. Just drop some shoes. Just release a sneaker line. Just one question, though. Why didn't that work for Kanye? If that's all it took, why didn't that work for Kanye? This is absolutely amazing. First of all, there's so much to unpack here. $400 for them ugly ass shoes. If you haven't seen those shoes, Google it. Ugly as hell. They actually got Trump's like dirty looking, like crusty skin tone is like their color. And so they cost $400. You can get, that's more than you have to pay for some Jordan 11s on StockX. You gonna buy these Trump shoes when you could have a pair of Jordans. I mean, that's just an aside, just from a style standpoint. But I am just this is what they think of us. Guys, black people like shoes. This was on Fox. It's on Fox News. Guys, black people like shoes, so Trump just came out with the sneaker line. He's connecting with people on a deeper level now.
But Avi, doesn't this go past politics? Imagine what other kind of boardrooms they're having that say that we like to put out there. It could be food, it could be music, it could be clothing, anything. Imagine all these rooms. I'm just telling you.
That reminds me of Undercover Brother.
I'm just telling you, man. I'm just telling you.
General's fried chicken.
No, I'm just telling you. No, seriously.
I have my fried chicken, and now you're gonna vote for me. It's so crazy.
Because they're gonna give those shoes out. And somebody's gonna wear them. That's African American, 100%.
They charge them $400.
They're gonna give some free though. Trust me.
Yeah, they'll give some away. I mean, because ain't nobody gonna be buying them for $400. I mean, up to a certain point, they had to say they sold out, even if they had to buy them themselves. But people ain't buying them joints, man. go ahead, Dr. Fletcher.
Listen, if they can find the blacks for Trump to stand behind him at those rallies, they're gonna find somebody to wear those ridiculous looking shoes. They will. And again, like you said, I mean, this is what they think of us. If you were unsure that you could believe your lying eyes, as they would want you to just listen to them and not believe what you see, this is proof positive. This is what they think of you. And don't think that Fox News is just independently going out with this thought process. They are getting this from somewhere. People don't call Fox News Trump's personal talk show for no reason. They know. If you didn't pay attention to everything that has unfolded with Fox News and Rupert Murdoch and GOP and all that, in terms of just how in sync they are with this strategy, believe it. They say that because it has come from somewhere. They are parroting the overarching narrative around how to get to black people. And it's not policy. Because it's not like they have an actual political agenda to start with, but they're not going to reach you at an intellectual level. They don't feel as though I need to sit, because not one person on that desk said, I wonder if some black people may be offended that you don't view them as intellectual. Not one person had the wherewithal to sit and say, devil's advocate here, just hear me out. Maybe these black people will take offense to you thinking you can give them. It ain't even like a regular modest pair. It's a shiny, sparkly, only in America type of Don King special that they trying to say is going to catch us. So it is the most ridiculous thing that, and I would say that it is surprising, but it's not. This is how they think of us. And you need to start believing that this is how they think of us, no matter how slick talking some folks may be, the Nikki Haley's of the world going on the black radio circuit, trying to somehow make herself as palatable as she can for black folks. Don't buy any stretch of the imagination what is being put to you, even if it is being spoon-fed to you in some sort of fruity, palatable flavor. It's still the same thing. That is what they think of you.
Yeah, and shout out to Jewel O'Connor, who on YouTube said the sneakers are a dupe of Gucci and Louis Vuitton. He's not even creative enough to come up with his own design. Yeah, they're obvious. He obviously didn't design them himself. So when we come forward, let's get into this Wendy Williams subject. And people are saying that she's just diagnosed with aphasia and dementia, and some people are saying she deserves it, maybe we shouldn't feel so sorry for her. So we'll get into that discussion when we come forward right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's the real deal in real time. You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
What's up, LA? This is John McKinney, your next district attorney. Voting is underway, and public safety is the top issue on the ballot. As a deputy district attorney for over 25 years, I know Los Angeles, and I know how to keep this community safe. And as an African American who lives and works in this community, I know the unique challenges we face. My promise to you is to ensure accountability, protect victims' rights, and give the underserved a voice. I'm John McKinney, and I ask for your vote for LA County District Attorney.
Hey Californians, are you ready to make your home ownership dreams come true? The California Dream for All Shared Appreciation Loan Program might be for you. First-generation homebuyers can get down payment and closing cost assistance along with a first mortgage to help you unlock the door of your new home. Applications open in April, so talk to an approved lender to see if you're eligible. Find out more at calhfa.ca.gov/dream or call 877-922-5432. A message from the California Housing Finance Agency.
Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. Sometimes we try to fit it all in. Sometimes we don't know what's in store. Sometimes we find what we're looking for. Sometimes we're rolling easy and free. Sometimes 1 and 1 makes 3. So much to love along this ride. That's why Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles is a nonprofit law firm that protects and advances the rights of the most underserved, leveling the playing field and ensuring that everyone can have access to the justice system. Every year, LAFLA provides free, high-quality legal services to more than 100,000 people living in poverty across greater Los Angeles. Their unique combination of neighborhood offices, self-help centers at courthouses, and domestic violence clinics puts Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles on the front lines in vulnerable communities and at the forefront of change. LAFLA's expert team of attorneys, paralegals, and support staff works to provide direct representation, offer counsel and advice, provide referrals, and educate the community about their legal rights through workshops and seminars. With locations all over LA, you can access their services or volunteer to help no matter where you live. And if you have an urgent issue, call 213-235-0060. That's 213-235-0060. To get legal help, make a donation, or volunteer, visit LAFLA.org. LAFLA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
There's no time like the present. Let's get back to more of Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Wrapping up the group chat here today, Danny Griffin, Dr. Sean Fletcher. So Wendy Williams has been diagnosed with aphasia and dementia. Just really sad. still in her 50s. She's been kind of off of television for a long time now, or a few years now rather, which I guess is a long time. But it's I don't think there's any doubt that this is just a horrible situation. It's a sad situation, and she actually has to have a legal guardian now because she can't really manage her own affairs, and her legal guardian sued to try to prevent. There's a documentary actually coming out this weekend on Lifetime called "Where Is Wendy Williams," and her legal guardian tried to get that off the air, tried to prevent it from being aired, and she lost. They lost. It's still going to be aired this weekend. So really, really peculiar timing on this announcement, to say the least. But some people on YouTube, or no, not YouTube, but X rather, stupid name, Twitter. But someone said, I don't feel bad for Wendy Williams. Maybe it's a good time to make jokes like she did back in the day about Mets lady. All the live off of gossip and slander and other people will reap similar, if not the same. So let's see. Someone said, y'all can bay at the moon all you want. You will never make me feel bad for not feeling sorry for Wendy Williams and feeling the evil ass energy she put out. She's getting back. So I think this is really classless of these people. I mean, she's a gossip journalist. She talked about people's lives. I mean, I'm not a fan of gossip, and I think there is something to be said about that not being the most honorable thing to do, but that doesn't mean that she deserves to get dementia. I mean, it's just horrible. But let's get you in here, Dr. Fletcher.
Yeah, I think it's sad all the way around. I think it's more of a cautionary note. I don't think it's necessarily about feeling bad or rage or anything for someone. She did make a career out of many of the things, and not just her. There's a whole industry of folks who are making careers out of making light of a lot of people's pain and personal business, and have amassed wealth and fame as a result of it. And while this is sad, I cannot count her out of that. She did as well. But on the other hand, I think the paradox of it all is that we don't have to necessarily celebrate the karma when it comes around. I just believe it will come around for certain people. And I'm not calling this karma per se, because I don't know. But what I will say is that when I say my prayers to the good Lord to fight my battles, I don't sit and revel when, as the good brother, the late great Malcolm X said, when the chickens come home to roost, I don't sit there and wait for them to do it. I go about my life. And my hope is that others will go about their lives and not sit here and rubberneck this woman's fate, as sad as it is. So no, I'm not sitting here attaching what's happening to her now to the career that she made. And my hope is that others aren't doing the same thing, because I've said it on this show before, and I'll continue to say it again. There's a great quote that says, while seeking revenge, dig 2 graves, one of them for yourself. Because when those things hang on and you hang on to those things, do not fool yourself into believing that you are just letting it go and letting others go and reap what they sow. You are giving that energy as well. And I'm not going to do that. So I do empathize and feel bad for the state that she's in right now, while also holding her accountable for the career that she made, not granting that same grace to other people.
Danny, let's take us home.
Just hopefully, it reminds me of the B. Smith situation a little bit. When she was deteriorating and the husband brought in the girlfriend to take care of her, and people were like, "What's going on here?" People have accused the family and management of Wendy Williams of, drugs and doping her up to get her coherent for the camera, and then she goes out of it. Then they cut the camera or whatever, and it reminds you of a lot of old artists celebrities, how they clean them up for the Blockbuster movie, how they clean them up to do the tour. And, people exploit people, people exploit animals, people exploit people, to benefit themselves financially. And I just pray and hope that this is not the case. A la just like the B. Smith situation. When somebody's down and out and you making money off them and you see they're down just to benefit you. And something like this probably shouldn't have been made, even though they say Wendy Williams authorized it. But what type of state of mind was she in to authorize it? Because it kind of looked kind of scary. It kind of looked shocking when I seen the few clips. Like, she was clearly out of it. Nobody wants to see nothing like that. A lot of this is payback and for show TV, and a lot of times TV has gone backwards. I don't want to see nothing like that. I'm not gonna watch it this weekend.
That's Danny Griffin and Dr. Sean Fletcher joining us on the group chat. You can catch the Areva Martin in Real Time podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and now you can also catch us three on a new podcast called Top 2, wherever you get your podcast. Episodes drop Monday. Appreciate both of you as always. We will talk this weekend, and
yes, sir.
The Ayers, the Raw Report with Robin Ayers, beg your pardon. The Raw Report with Robin Ayers is coming up next, and have yourselves a wonderful weekend. I'm Avi Bernard, and I am gone.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Tyreek Wynn. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Wendy Williams is being diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia as well as aphasia, the same as actor Bruce Willis. The news about the 59-year-old former TV talk show host was announced by her team. They said she underwent testing in 2023 after her memory started to fail. The disclosure of Williams' disease comes 2 days before Lifetime airs the documentary